All right. Let me adjust my video and then I'll go ahead and start. Oh, you've already started. All right. Welcome everyone. My name is Julie Buck with University of Idaho Extension Office in Bingham County, which is in Blackfoot. I'll be your instructor tonight for the chili recipe for the SOUPtember class. So I can see that we have quite a few people still joining. So go ahead and make sure you've got all your ingredients ready. And I'm just gonna step over to the sink right now. You're joining me in my home here. And I'm gonna step over to my sink and wash my hands and I'll be right back. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and wash your hands as well. 20 seconds and we'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I hope you are too. Again, I'm Julie Buck with University of Idaho, and we're going to be making the chili recipe tonight. And I'm going to be using an Instant Pot brand electric pressure cooker. And I know that we all come with various levels of experience, and hopefully we can do this together. I hope you're joining me in the creation of this wonderful chili recipe. It's very simple, but it has a lot of depth of flavor because of the various seasonings that are in it. So I know you may have looked at those ingredients and thought, no, I don't know if I can handle cumin or that much chili powder, but I guarantee you, if you'll follow the recipe the first time, you can always adjust it later, unless there's some real big intolerance you have to a seasoning. I would definitely include all of them because they all add a really good flavor profile to the chili. So let's go ahead and get started. So I have got my pressure cooker plugged in and it is ready to go. I actually used it today to get the beans pre-soaked. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. So let's go through the ingredient list. Make sure you've got everything out because it's always easy to forget something. So you need to have 1.5 cups of pinto beans that have been either pre-soaked or quick soak. I did the quick soak in the electric pressure cooker. I followed the instructions just as they're written. And you know, when I bite into one of these, it's about 2/3 of the way cooked. So it gives it just that amount of, it'll hold up well enough during the pressuring that it won't get too soft. The next ingredient is 1 pound of ground beef. And just to make sure that I have plenty of time, I went ahead and pre-cooked mine, but the instructions tell us that we're gonna cook it in the Instant Pot. So I'll get you started on that in just a minute. Okay, so there's my 1 pound of ground beef. Yours should be raw, all right? Hang with me, we'll do that together. 1 onion chopped, and I actually grow these onions in my garden. I also found a really cool hack on onions. If you would like to, you can just buy them already frozen and chopped. They're very affordable. It makes it really fast, and either way works. So I'm gonna use my pre-chopped onions tonight and save my onions for later on in the winter when I want onions. 1 bell pepper chop, so I've got that here. That's about 1 cup, so I've got it in a cup measure. 2 tablespoons of garlic powder, not salt, but garlic powder. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of chili powder. Again, just trust me, it's going to be really yummy. and 1 tablespoon of dried oregano. This may sound a little off to you because it sounds like more of a Italian seasoning, but it's actually quite good. And then we have 2 teaspoons of cumin, really more of an Indian flavor seasoning, but again, it gives it that flavor in it. You're kind of wonder what is in there that makes it taste so good. That's one of the seasonings. And then just a 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder. And, oh, I think this is it, and this is the cumin. So I think I may have got those a little mixed up, but trust me, it's here. And then we just have our 4 cups of beef broth. You can use it in just one of these big containers. You can use it from bouillon. You can use it from cans. It doesn't matter to me. It's whatever you like. This is less sodium. That works best for my health that I'm working on. So it won't matter because you've got so many other seasonings, and we're gonna salt and pepper to taste. So just have those on the ready for when you're gonna go ahead and enjoy your chili. And then I have a can of diced tomatoes. So I go ahead and grow my tomatoes here, and I also bottle my own tomatoes. So I just went and got one of my bottled tomatoes, quarts, and I went ahead and measured out about 15 ounces of tomatoes because I like to use what I prepare, and I needed to rotate them off of my pantry shelf downstairs. So that's it. Those are the ingredients. And welcome again if you've joined us a little late, but we're gonna go ahead and get started. So what you wanna start with is just looking at the ingredients. We wanna go ahead and preheat the pressure cooker by pressing saute. If you have an Instant Pot, it will have a saute button. And so I do have a saute button here. If you don't have a saute button on your pressure cooker, then usually it's the poultry setting. So you're gonna wanna make sure you read whatever brand you have, you're gonna wanna read that and find out what is the saute setting if it doesn't have the button. So go ahead and press saute, and it's going to go ahead and have a time already set. You don't need to adjust for that. So go ahead and let's get that heating up. Now this is, when it's ready, it will say hot, okay? So don't put anything in it yet. You want it to get hot, all right? And then you're gonna go ahead and put your raw hamburger in. Welcome, those of you that are just joining us. We're just starting with the hamburger. And so if you go ahead and get your raw hamburger ready, and we'll wait for it to say hot. Now, because I've pre-cooked my hamburger, I'm just gonna add a little bit of olive oil in the bottom to make it all happy. I'm actually gonna start with put my hamburger in, then I'm gonna add my onions and peppers and just get them happy together in that saute. So of all the appliances I've ever owned, this is the one manual that I've read from front cover to back cover. One of the reasons is because I've been teaching it now for 3 years, and also because I want to make sure that I'm comfortable with it and I can explain it. I can hear my inner pot is starting to heat up. I can hear it because I recently washed it before the class, and I can hear it I must have left just a little bit of water in there, so I can hear it starting to sizzle just a little bit. If you just kind of put your hand just right at the level, don't put it in, but just right at the level, you can feel that it's heating up, right? So it's getting there. Because I have pre-cooked my hamburger, I'm gonna go ahead and just put a little bit of oil in there now. Welcome, those of you that are joining us. Just gonna put a little bit of oil in there. Well, first, be very careful because you don't want to go past the heating point of your oil. Every oil has a different heating point, and I want to make sure that I'm gonna be okay when I saute in this. So you wanna have a heat-safe utensil. So I've got a silicone spatula, it's one of my favorites. You can use a plastic one if you'd like, but I know that this is gonna hold up to the high intensity of the saute. So I'm still waiting. You can see on the screen here, I'm still waiting for mine to say saute, but I do feel it warming up, definitely. So we're preheating this to get it up to a very high temperature. I've used the saute feature also in the lemon chicken recipe. We actually can brown. You can brown any of your meats or poultry in here. So if you want to get a sear on that outside of your roast before you cook it in the Instapot, you can go ahead and just put it on saute and then just sear each side to get that brown. That way it adds a little bit of flavor profile. It looks appealing aesthetically because it's got that darker crust on it. And then just go ahead and cook it according to instructions. I've also used the saute feature to thicken sauces. So again, on that lemon chicken, we'll go ahead and take the chicken breast out. We'll go ahead and have all those drippings in there, the dredge we call it at our house, and then we'll go ahead and add sauces and seasonings back in, thickeners, and go ahead and stir it up, and you can actually thicken a sauce in here on saute as well. So that's a really nice feature as well. I can tell this is getting very warm. I don't have my saute talking to me yet. If you have a different brand or don't have a saute feature, you might just watch for that other setting that you use that would work for you. I also hope that you have some hot pads available to you. These are silicone mitts. Anytime you're going to want to touch the inner pots, you're going to want to be very careful, and you won't get burned if you've got your silicone mitts on. These are available at many dollar stores, so they're a no-name brand. Obviously, oh, it's ready. It says hot. So I'm going to go ahead and put my hamburger in. And just step away from it a little bit. Yours will be raw again. But as a food safety specialist, I just tend to be a little cautious with my proteins. Okay, so you did that. And so go ahead and put yours in whenever yours heated up. Go ahead and just saute it around. Stir it around on that saute feature. I'll try to talk loud. I hope it's not too loud. Okay. I have a really lean hamburger in here. I'm going to add just a little bit more oil. I did rinse my hamburger as well after I cooked it, so I really don't have a lot of fat in here, and I want to make sure I don't stick. So I'm going to go ahead and add my peppers. And you can wait until your hamburger gets browned a little bit more. That's fine as well. Just go ahead and stir that up. It's going to start making some really good aromas in your house. Okay. All right, I'm feeling comfortable that I've got the right amount of oil in here with my pre-cooked hamburger. If you've got a really lean meat, go ahead and add an oil if you need to, if you feel like it's going to stick a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and add the onions that I used frozen chopped onions. Now, with any recipe, I really encourage you to follow the recipe the first time exactly. And then you can decide if you want to cut things out or make them a little bit different. You could add a green, I'm using a green pepper because that's what I had in my garden. But you could use a red pepper, yellow pepper. If you wanted it to have a little bit more of a bite than it already has, you could add a jalapeno pepper, but honestly, this has really got a good flavor to it. I'd rather add my hot later on with some sriracha or some hot sauce on top. So you could decide, what is best for you. So go ahead and just keep stirring that around. I know you're cooking yours from raw, so you'll just stir it around until it's done. And you've got the peppers and the onions added in. starting to smell really good over here. This is a really simple recipe. Once the hamburger is cooked, we're going to go ahead and just start adding the ingredients. And I'm going to go ahead and give you just a few minutes, because I know you're cooking from raw, but I'm going to guess that you're pretty close. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start adding the ingredients so that I can come onto the meeting and see if you need any help, those of you that are doing it from home. So right now I've got my hamburger and the onions and the peppers in here. So now we just add all the rest of the ingredients. So let's do it. I'm going to go ahead and add my 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. And I'm just kind of sprinkling this on. I am going to stir it well, but I don't want it all dumped in one area. Then I'm going to add my 2 tablespoons of chili powder. Go ahead and stir that up. I know you're probably wanting to make sure that all gets incorporated really well. I hope your kitchen smells as good as mine does, and this is exactly what we're having for dinner tonight. I know it might be a little warm outside, but chili is such a comfort food for me, so that's what we're going to do tonight. So I was up to the chili powder. Now I'm going to do the dried oregano. This is that kind of mystery ingredient. You're thinking, why in the world would I put oregano in chili? This isn't an Italian dish, but trust me, it gives you that flavor that's quite nice. I'm going to give it another stir again. We're still on saute, so we'll stop that in just a minute. If you're feeling, just keep stirring, add a little bit more. Let's see, we're up to cumin. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and do the cayenne pepper. All right. Nice. That is smelling really, really good right now. Okay. We're almost done. Next is the 4 cups of beef broth. So I'm just going to give this a little shake. This is a quart, so it's already measured out 4 cups, so it's ready to go. There we go. Makes the kitchen quiet now that I've got some moisture in there. Now, as you know, if you're new to Instapots, maybe you don't know, but anytime you do a recipe, you need at least 1 cup of fluid in there. So we've definitely gone past that. That makes it safe so that it's going to not go dry when it's pressuring. It is a pressure cooker, and so it needs to, anything you cook in there, it needs to have at least 1 cup. Most recipes use 1.5 for in case there's some evaporation or loss during cooking. Okay, so now it's a little bit quieter. I'm going to go ahead and finish up with my tomatoes, and then I guess I better add the beans, huh? So there's my tomatoes, including the liquid, all right? And then you're going to go ahead and take your beans that you either pre-soaked or quick-soaked. So I chose to quick-soak these in the electric pressure cooker. I've cooked dried beans for decades, and I so welcome this opportunity to use the electric pressure cooker for this technique, because it just makes it so fast. I was in doing something else today. I didn't have to watch the pot on the stove. It was just, they were just pre-soaking for me, following the recipe that you have. So go ahead and add those in. They do sound a little bit firm when I'm putting them in. I can hear them kind of hitting against the side of the inner pot. And just give it a good stir. And then, of course, because I don't know, you probably don't forget things, but I always go through the recipe one more time. I don't have anything in front of me, so I'm really sure I got everything, but let's just review. So we have 1.5 cups of pinto beans that have been soaked or quick soaked, pre-soaked or quick soaked. We have 1 pound of ground hamburger that we cooked in the pressure cooker, 1 onion chopped, 1 bell pepper chopped, 2 tablespoons of garlic powder, 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 tablespoon of dried oregano, 2 teaspoons of cumin powder, 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 4 cups of beef broth, and 1 can of diced tomatoes. And we're ready to put the lid on this. So the instructions say, I'm gonna go ahead and stop it now. So go ahead and cancel where you're at, okay? Just turn it off if you're caught up to me, okay? And then go ahead and take your lid, and just so you know, on this 8-quart that I have at home, it has a little slit in the handle, and that was actually for your lid to hook onto. So mine's actually been on the other side so you could see what I was doing. But this is kind of a nice feature for when you're taking food out, and after you open it, it can hold on to your lid for you. So if you ever wonder what the slit in your lid was, that's what it is, okay? So again, we're gonna line up with the arrows, and they made it very easy for us to line up, and then it did a little chime for me. I'm gonna slide it to the close on the top of the lid, so now it's closed, all right? Let's check our settings. We're gonna go ahead and cook on high pressure for 20 minutes, and I wanna go ahead and have you adjust for altitude. So at our altitude, we add about 10% to the time, so I'm gonna go 22 minutes. Remember, it's a pressure cooker, so it's affected by the altitude we're at. So adjust for your altitude as well. If you're at sea level, then that 20 minutes is perfect for you, but I'm at about 5,400 altitude, so I'm gonna go ahead and adjust and add 2 minutes. So I'm gonna go to pressure cook, and I'm gonna make sure I'm on high pressure, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go up to 22 minutes, and then I'm gonna double check. I'm gonna do natural release for 15 minutes. So I'm gonna leave this keep warm button on. It comes on automatically. You have to deselect it by pushing it if you don't want it to work. But because we're gonna do natural release for 15 minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and leave that light on. So I'm gonna go come up here to the top, and I'm gonna take something that's heat safe, and I'm gonna adjust my vent to ceiling, okay? So let's just review. We've closed our pressure cooker. I have it on pressure cook is the button. I have it on high pressure, and I have it on 22 minutes, and I'm leaving the keep warm button on so that I can do a natural release for 15 minutes afterwards. And then I pressed it to ceiling. So I'm gonna go ahead and minimize my screen and come talk to you and see if you have any questions. All right, so you can allow your audio, and I would be happy to answer any questions. You can either come on live or you can type them in the chat. So is there anything I can help any of the participants with tonight?
What did you do at the very end with the stick?
With the stick. With this stick?
Yeah.
What I did was I moved the dial so that it says ceiling on the top. So if you'll just use it as a safety feature, just move your dial so it says ceiling. Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Okay, great. Are there other questions? Do you have to add extra time due to elevation? Yes, you should for food safety, absolutely. Oh, when you do a quick soak on the beans, I did as well. Yes, I do. I do it all the way across the board just so that I'll be consistent. You missed the last few minutes of the Zoom. Let's see. The last few minutes of the Zoom session, will the recording be available? Oh, you missed the first few minutes of the Zoom. Yes, it will. We will send this out to all of you that are participating, yes. So really, Lisa, at the first, we're just followed the recipe. Are you, Lisa, are you making the recipe along with us? I could help you catch up since mine's already pressuring. Oh, just watching? Absolutely, yes. We will send it to you. Does anyone else have any questions? If you would like to share your video, and if you have any questions with the face of your electric pressure cooker, I'd be happy to help you. You can also type in the chat, or you can just pick up your, turn on your audio and talk to us as well.
Hi, Julie. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
This is Michaela. So this is my Instapot. Can you see it, Dash?
Just a moment. Let me adjust my video. Oh, hi. I can see you, Michaela. Go ahead.
So can you see my Instapot, the screen on my Instapot?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I don't have the button that says pressure cook.
Okay.
So I just use the manual button.
That's correct.
And then I don't see where on that setting where I can adjust it to the, what is it, low, normal, or more.
Okay, do you see the button for low, normal, or more?
Well, there's lights for it, and when I was
Yes.
sauteing, I could get it to do it by hitting the adjust button, but when I just do plain manual, it doesn't do anything.
What I want you to do is I want you to press the manual button and see if that light will move.
So right now it's already starting to, so should I turn it off or?
What pressure level are you at? Low?
It says it's just on, so it's just warming up still.
I know, but on the light where it says low,
There is no
normal,
light, and it is not lit up at all.
Okay, can you show me the face of yours again? Get closer. Okay, now come down so I can see the face of your plate. Okay, you see those lights, those white lines? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna make you bigger on my screen. So see where it says low, normal, or more?
Yes.
You need to, one of those needs to be lit. Is any of those lit with a red light? Okay, then I'd like you to back up just a little bit. I'll go ahead and cancel it. No, don't back up your screen. Just back up your camera. Okay, go ahead and just press cancel.
Here.
Yes. Okay, so let's back up and try this again because it's no problem. You've got your lid sealed, right? It's on sealing. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and press manual. Press manual again. Does it move the high, medium, or low button at all?
No.
Okay. All right. Becky, are you on the Zoom tonight? Oh, she wants you to push the adjust button.
I need to cancel it again first.
Yes, go and cancel it. Okay, so now press manual and adjust. Let go.
So I hit it twice and it didn't do anything.
It's not doing anything. Okay.
So it will only do it on saute.
Okay. Becky, can you come on with your audio and tell us why the adjust button?
It should work.
It's not working.
Did you, I can't see the screen because it's so small, but did you hit? So I know it works on your saute as well, but it should work on that one too.
So I've had her press She's pressed manual and now she's pressed adjust, but when you press it, Michaela, I just want you to press it in and out. Don't hold it, okay? Try it again.
Okay, so that was cancel. This is manual. There's adjust.
Okay, so
Wow.
hit cancel again. And then hit adjust. Does that do anything?
No,
Okay. I
I
can't.
think it has to be on.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
can't.
have a pressure cook setting?
No.
No, hers will just be manual.
Okay.
And then try the arrows. If you hit adjust, can you then hit the arrows?
Okay, hang on. Let me try that.
Manual, adjust arrows.
The
No, that's
arrows
just
are
the
doing my
time.
time.
I'd have to look at that one because I'm having a hard time seeing it.
I can see it perfectly, and hi David, I can see your hand too. So I'm not sure what to tell you because it doesn't even tell us what level of pressure you're at. So go ahead and let it cook.
Okay.
And worst case scenario is, the beans won't be done.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would think it would automatically go to high pressure unless I would think it would be programmed to that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Becky. Sometimes it takes two minds to
And
troubleshoot something.
we still don't get
So I guess put that on my list, David, when I come to your county, and we'll go play with Michaela's pressure cooker.
That would
All
be
right.
great.
Does
Just
anyone
let me
else
know.
sorry about that. Does anyone else have any questions? Let's see. We've got some questions in the chat. Let's do that. Okay, we did the adjust button. Karen, most of the manuals are available online. Check the manufacturer's website. Yes, of course. You might go do that. Do you have that, Michaela? Do you have the manual with you?
Yeah, I'll go look it up. I'll see if I
Okay.
can find it.
Sure.
If
All
you
right.
if you go up, Julie, there's a couple of questions up from Betty and Carolyn.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Betty, do we always have to add 2 minutes to pressure time due to altitude? You need to, Betty, if you'll just 10%. No, the answer is no. It's not 2 minutes to every pressure time, it's 10%. Carolyn asked, what brand of pot do you have and where did you purchase it? I have 4 brands at the office. I have Cuisinart, an Instapot, a Fagor, and a something with pressure in the name. Sorry, it's just totally left my mind. So at home I have an Instapot brand. I've seen them at Costco. What is the best one in your opinion? Well, Carolyn, after teaching this for 3 years and demonstrating for that long as well, I find that when I teach a class at my office, before the COVID-19 pandemic started, I would have all 4 brands out in my office so everyone could try a different brand out, because I think we all get used to our own brand. They all have different features that some of them are really a pain, and some of them I really quite like. So I think it's very preferential. For me, because I'm technology challenged, I want an interface. I want the face and all the buttons on my electric pressure cooker to be very user friendly. If it's going to be complicated, then I'm going to get in the swamp really fast. So you might take a look at how the face of it is and how you interact with that. So I think it's really preferential. All right, so Harrelson, they asked, I inherited a Nesto Instant Pot without an owner's manual. Do you think I could find an owner's manual online? I absolutely do. Carolyn says she hasn't. Teresa says, Carolyn, I have a New Wave. I purchased it online. So there's another brand I've not tried.
So
Diana said, I have the same one, and I just hit manual and the time, and it always puts at high pressure and works just fine. I have to agree with you as well.
Can I interrupt?
Yes, go ahead.
This is Teresa. And so I'm the one with the New Wave pot. And mine has a sear on it. So I'm assuming that that's the saute, because I looked up in my book and it said to use the sear mode for saute. But mine doesn't have a manual on it. It does have a soup key on it.
Yeah, I would definitely do the soup for sure. You bet.
Okay, and then the other thing is my question is kind of following up, like Michaela's, I think it was, or one of the other gals when she asked about the button you were pushing so that it would go toward the ceiling. You know, you were using your little spatula and you push the button in. So I don't have a button like that. Do I need to be concerned about that?
Okay. You don't have a button for what?
Well, you said that you pushed a button in so that it would go toward the ceiling. Am I correct? Is that the steam that you're talking about? On the top, on your top, you push the button.
Right, so you either are gonna seal your pressure cooker or you're gonna vent it. So you wanna make sure that it's on sealing, S-E-A-L-I-N-G.
Oh, okay, and guess what? I guess mine doesn't have one of those options on the top of it.
Okay, do you want me to, do you have a camera you can show us?
Well, my camera isn't working for some reason. I don't know why. But it has, on the top of it, it has release and off are the two buttons on the top of mine. One is a button that you push to release, and one is a button that's off.
So can I interject?
Okay, well, you definitely don't want off.
Can I interject? So then
Yes,
yours will automatically seal on its own. You don't have to tell it to seal. And so all you're doing is telling it to release the pressure. So that's why you don't have one. Does that make sense?
Okay, so yes, but I've been so afraid to use this pot. I've had it for almost 2 years and I haven't used it. So this is terrible. So when it's done cooking and it just does it seals itself, do I then, after the 15 minutes, do I push that off or release button? Is that what I do?
If you're doing a quick release, that's what you would do. But for Julie's recipe, she's doing a natural release, correct, Julie?
Yes.
So if you're doing a quick release, like let's say you're making a fish or a vegetable and you don't want to overcook it, you would flip it, or for you would push the button to do a quick release so you could get as much pressure out as possible. So where Julie's doing a natural release, it's going to continue to cook in there. If that makes sense.
Okay, and so after the 21 minutes or whatever, because I'm in southern Idaho, so after that time, then I would just leave it on warm for that 15 minutes, and then I would be able to open it.
Are you naturally releasing it? Is that what you mean?
Well, yeah, just like she would. I mean, I would just leave it in there, let it cook its time, and then she said to leave it on warm.
Yes. And even sometimes you don't have to do that. Sometimes you could unplug it and it still will natural release on its own. But Julie, by leaving it on warm it's kind of like the crock pot in the sense it's going to keep it warm until you're ready to cook it. Can I offer a suggestion? This would be my suggestion. I would put in 2 cups of water, put it under pressure for 3 minutes, and just kind of play around with it with just water for your first time. So then you can feel maybe a little more comfortable, and then start with something that's like a cheap thing to make, like hard-boiled eggs or rice, something like that.
Okay.
And most manuals have what's called a water test, and I would highly recommend the first use is just follow follow the instructions for the water test. It just gets you used to how to build up pressure, how to have a quick release.
And it also
That's
gets
it.
some of the dirt out of it that once it's just sitting in the box waiting for you to buy it, it gets some of that dirt out of it. So,
Message off of it. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. And actually, I didn't get the recipe until late this afternoon, so I was just following along, just watching so that I could get a feel for what's going on. But I'm going to practice because I'm going to participate tomorrow night in the tortilla one. So.
Perfect. Well, let me just update you what's going on in the kitchen. I showed you while you were talking, but just taking a look at the pressure. I've got 18 minutes left on mine. So, and I just wanted you to see my valve, how it's set to sealing. So that's what's going on over here. Let me go. I've got another question again. Let's see. Okay, can you tell us one more time how to calculate increased time based on elevation? These recipes are set for sea level. So most manuals will tell you to adjust for altitude by adding 10% based on what altitude you're at. So I would definitely pull up an altitude chart for pressure cookers. That would probably be the easiest way to do it. You know, we have them for pressure canners, and now we actually have them for pressure cookers as well. So it's 10% at my altitude here. It'd be different at different levels, but so definitely take a look at your adjustment. Any other questions? I'll just keep telling you neat facts about pressure cookers if you'd like to hear them. Here's another comment. Let's see. Presto brand sells self-adjust for altitude, so you don't have to. Very nice feature. You know, again, you know, if you're looking at buying a second pot, and now that there are so many more options on the market, you might find one that has all the bells and whistles you're interested in to make it pretty seamless. Mary shares that she has a Farberware clearance for $30. She really likes it. She has the Instapot Duo because she likes the yogurt feature. She has a Ninja Foodie because she likes the air fry lid. And I have to say, that was one reason why I bought my 8-quart, was because it had a yogurt feature, and I do make my own yogurt. I'm lactose intolerant, so I really like to make cashew yogurt. So it's worth it to me. Just, you know, it's about $3 for maybe a cup of cashew yogurt, but I can make it much less expensive at home. Becky mentioned that some brands also call the saute button a browning button. That's a good point. Mary says, I also have an Instapot Ultra. This model has a cool graph on the front so you can see how close to full pressure it is. It also allows you to enter your elevation, so it'll automatically adjust for that. So again, you know, there's just so many options. You know, consumers are saying, wait a minute, we want to know how to do this. And the manufacturers have really listened and come up with some great. The Ultra model also has an auto seal, so no forgetting to seal. Great comments, everybody. Hopefully you can see those comments as well. Had about 15 minutes left, just to give you a heads up. Oh, thanks, Mary. Elevation adjustments, they are listed in the chat box as well, so appreciate you sharing that. You should have received the recipes for the other night's classes. I'm doing Monday nights, and Becky's doing another night of the week. I'm not sure which night it is, but she's taking 2 nights, I'm taking 2 nights, and oh, she's doing Tuesdays. Thank you, Becky. So Monday, Tuesday this week, and Monday, Tuesday next week. And then Becky has so many great ideas. We're talking about doing another class following as well. So if you're interested, just the best way to find out is to like the University of Idaho Extension Facebook page that Becky started that is electric pressure cooker. You have to be invited. You have to say what brand you use, and then you get invited to, we accept you into that private Facebook page. But you can find out about the classes there. So there's lots of fun things to try. I guess I would suggest that because we're in a pandemic right now, virtual is really a nice way to have a cooking demonstration, and hopefully you can join us on these other classes as we move forward. And we certainly want to teach in person, but are happy to teach a demonstration at home. So it's really easy for me to be at home and teach this class. I have about 13 minutes left. So let's see, we've got Michaela cooking at home. Oh, let me see if there's some more questions. Yes, here's the cooking under pressure page. Becky posted it in the chat room and then answered the question to be accepted. So how many of you are cooking along with us? Do you know how to raise your hand in a Zoom? We'll just play around in Zoom right now. So if you go up to your toolbar and where it says participants, if you'll click on that participant button and find your name, and then do you know can you raise your hand? Why don't you raise your hand if you're cooking with us, along with us right now? Try to see if you have a raise your hand feature on the Zoom. Thank you, Janet. So Janet's cooking along with us. Anybody else can find their raise the hand button? I know Michaela's cooking along.
For those that are looking for it, it's actually, there's a button called invite, mute me, and then raise hand. And that's the one that you select.
Oh, thank you. It always looks different on the presenter screen for sure. So I don't know about you, but I'm going to have some grated cheese on hand. I know some people like to add sour cream and make it like a taco soup. I've also got some tortilla chips in the cupboard, so there's lots of ideas for ways to boost up your chili. This would be a great recipe to freeze as well. So what I would do tonight is I would just let it quickly cool in a shallow pan in my fridge, and then I would package it for freezing. I like to use gallon Ziploc bags and just label the Ziploc bag and then package it up for later. So hopefully, I know it's hot in some areas still, up in the 80s this week right now. So maybe you'll want chili when it gets a little cooler, but that's an option for freezing besides what you could use for plastic freezer containers. Any questions? Are there any things about, oh, here we go. Let's see. Let's see. It's kind of hard when you cook along when you get off at 5. I wish I could. I know, we thought about having it later, but we thought people would just get busy with their night and not zoom in. But you know, we could start at 6:30, definitely. So that's good feedback for Becky and I, because sounds like we're going to be doing this again. So Michaela said, so on my model of Instapot, the adjust button does not work with the manual or the rice buttons. That is what the book says. Interesting. So Becky and I are we're pretty confident that it's going to start at high. So you'll know because of what consistency, what texture your beans are. Have you considered holding a yogurt class? I would absolutely do a yogurt class. I've taught it in front of hundreds of people before at a demonstration we did live with Becky and Lance and I. So I'd absolutely do a yogurt class for sure. Yeah. Could you explain how you cook the beans in your Instant Pot? You bet. So the beans are really easy. I took 1.5 cups of dried pinto beans right there. And I just measured out 1.5 cups, and I rinsed them because once upon a time I worked in a canning. I just volunteered in a canner, and we had to sort dry beans. And so when dry beans come in from the field, they have rocks and grasshopper heads and grasshopper parts and bug parts and all those kind of cool things in the dry beans. And so I was on this big assembly line, and I was the picker to pick out all the things I didn't want to eat out of the dry beans. So if you don't rinse dry beans, occasionally you'll find something that's usually not as interesting as insect head or body part, but I've definitely found rocks in here. So I rinse the beans and sort them, and then I put them in the electric pressure cooker with water covering them. So just put them in, no matter what size your cooker is, just put them in. Mine's an 8-quart, so it just scattered up maybe about an inch, not even quite an inch all the way across the bottom. And then I just filled that up with water, went ahead and cooked it on high. I added 10%, so I cooked it for about 6 minutes on high. And then I did a natural release for 12 minutes. And then I did a manual or a quick release. And I just drained and put them in the fridge. So it was very, very simple. The other option on there is just to do a pre-soak, not using the pressure cooker, but it was just so easy to use the pressure cooker today. I've got 6 minutes left on the cooker, and then it's pretty simple. We've got another 15 minutes to do a natural release, so I have lots of time for questions and answers. So are there any challenges you have with cleaning your pressure cooker? That's often a common question we get. Or if you'd like to unmute yourself and share with us some of your favorite recipes, that might be fun for others to hear as well. You could also type your favorite recipe in the chat. All right, Becky said that she teaches a freezer meal boot camp as well. So watch for an online version coming. And Michaela asked, I do have the soup broth button. Could I have used it instead of the manual button? Yes. Yes, you could, Michaela. There you go. There's your in for getting it to be able to adjust for pressure. So hindsight's always 20/20. One thing about yogurt is it takes about 12 to 17 hours. And so you've got to plan when you put it in. And I typically do it at night, in the early evening, so that it can work for me all night long while I'm sleeping. And then I get up the next day and it's set. So I have not had yogurt ever fail. I've made it both with regular milk and as cashew yogurt as well. So it would have to be, it would be one thing, it'd have to be a 2-part video because you'd definitely get it ready and set it, and then we could come back later and open it up, or I could just do a video and then I could post it. So yeah, it's very yummy. Just the add-ons to the yogurt are really nice. I found that I'm not really a fan of adding nuts to yogurt because they get a little soggy, and so I like to add those after. But there's other add-ons that you can do that make it really good. I also like to do still cut oats so that I have my breakfast already ready. If you haven't tried the egg bite recipe that is going around, that's really a popular one as well for a recipe to try. I think the first thing I did actually was just a regular pot roast with potatoes and carrots, and that was just because I'm familiar with doing that in a crock pot, and so I thought I may as well just try it in an Instant Pot. And I can tell you that I really don't want to do pot roast in the slow cooker anymore because the flavors seem to mingle there. But when you do it separate, like it has you do it for a pressure cooker, it really maintains the flavor of the vegetables, and I just really prefer that as well. Have any of you tried desserts in your electric pressure cooker? Those are a lot of fun as well. So pretty classic New York cheesecake, so like a baked cheesecake. It takes a very long time, but it definitely turns out good. It's a big hit. The recipe is really good. We've also done very successfully a lava cake, a chocolate lava cake. I've done sticky buns or pull-aparts. I don't know what you call them in your area of the country, but Mary suggests poached pears. Teresa's asking if you can use it for canning. And at our altitude, no, we are not to use the pressure cooker for canning, although Presto now has an electric pressure canner. I was just attended a virtual conference, and they showed that, so I went and watched the video on it, and it looks very interesting. So if you've had a lot of concerns about pressure canning with a regular dial gauge or weighted gauge, you can now Presto has an electric pressure canner. So I know the books will say that you can pressure can in your electric pressure cooker, but that is not science-based. We have some researchers working on it with Extension, and in our area, in the Intermountain West anyway. So we're working on getting some criteria for that, but right now, no, because the reason why is because pressure cookers have about 11 to 15-ish, 16 pounds of pressure in them, but we don't know. There's no way to tell on most pressure cookers how much pressure is inside. And to be food safe with canning, we have to exactly know how much pressure. Oh, guess what? Oh yes, definitely rice pudding as well. So my pressure canner is counting, it's now on keep warm. And so that means that it's done pressuring for the 22 minutes. And so now it's going to start counting up. So if you have a keep warm feature on your canner, it starts counting up. And our recipe says do a natural release for 15 minutes. And so for 15 minutes, I'm going to let this timer go to 15. And then that will count as my natural release. As we already mentioned, you could do a natural release without a keep warm setting. If it just goes to warm and you don't force the pressure out or do a quick release, that's actually a natural release as well. So you can read in the chat, we've got some fun dessert ideas going on, and definitely have done rice pudding in one of my classes. I haven't tried lemon curd, but if it has milk in it, I'd have to use something else, but definitely could give it a try. So what are some of your favorite recipes that you've tried? Anyone else want to share? Okay, so Lisa said she's tried a couple of versions of rice pudding, but each time she tried, she got a burn notice. And then Becky's offering to get you the recipe that she uses, which is pretty tried and true. I've never had it fail. Bread pudding, very good, yes. That would be good as well. My dad loved bread pudding. I can't quite do bread pudding, so, but I appreciate people that eat it. My dad loved it. Great, Karen, thanks for sharing. Any other questions? We've had a few people leave the chat, leave the meeting, and that's fine as well. You'll each be receiving the recording. All right, looks like lemon curd sounds appealing to a lot of people. That's great. The nice thing about some of the dessert recipes is that you use your rack because you want to have a pot in pot cooking. So pot in pot means that you pour the recipe into another container and put it inside the inner pot, and it's raised up out of the water by that rack that you have. So some cookers come with a rack, some don't. Some of them you just need to purchase if you didn't come with one. But when you do pot and pot cooking, you're going to want to put your pot, when you do the New York Cheesecake, you're going to want to pour it in the special pan we use, and then it raises it up out of the water. So basically you're just steaming it, and that's what makes it so good. We do the same thing for the yogurt as well. Those are in individual jars, and so, I mean, you don't have to, you could make it inside the whole pot itself, but it just makes it so easy for single service, you know, in the mornings to have the yogurt already prepared into the jars. So Leslie says, Becky, can you share those with all of us? And I'm sure that she can do that. Zoom pressure cooking class for carrots in the near future. We hadn't planned on it, but you know, honestly, with this downtime between recipes, I could have had 2 cookers going and done carrots in another one as well. So we have done the carrot recipe that's in the recipe book I teach out of, and that's a real favorite because it's got brown sugar, butter, and a little bit of orange rind in it, so it's got a little bit of orange flavor in it. It's really good. Thanks for coming, Leslie. Appreciate you coming, and hope you'll join with us in another class later on. And Becky's just reminding everyone that if you registered with Eventbrite, then she'll have your email address and she can send out these recipes that we've been talking about. So I'm up to about 5 minutes on my natural release. So just to say a couple of things on safety, I want to just remind you that you don't want to rush the natural release. The natural release is actually calculated in to be part of the cooking time. So even if you think, oh, it wouldn't hurt to force that pressure out, it actually would. It actually would affect the consistency and the quality of your cooked item. So if you will just honor that natural release, just find something to do. You know, when we're having our pressure cooker going, we want to stay within the house. We want to, it should be just fine because it's going to beep at you when it's done. But we do want to stay in the building at the office, but we don't want to drive away and do any errands in case something should happen. You notice that my pressure cooker is on top of my island, and so there's nothing up above it. I have it away from my pendant lights that are hanging. You don't want to have it under a cabinet in your kitchen. You don't want any of the steam that's been coming out during the processing to ruin your wood, burn somebody, break the glass. So make sure you position your cooker where it's away from a surface that the steam would come up on. So we're at 6 minutes. As we get ready to open this up here, we're going to make sure that I have my silicone gloves on and that I have a heat safe tool that I can push the dial from sealing to venting. And depending on how much volume you have in the cooker, it just depends how long it's going to take to let the pressure out. So, you could be doing dishes, you could be setting the table. There's a lot of things that you could be doing while you're waiting for that pressure to release. Any questions? Couple of cleaning tips for your electric pressure cooker. You do want to clean take the inner pot out after every time you use it and clean it in warm soapy water. It is microwave safe if that's how you choose to clean it. I find that it just takes up so much space. I just rather use it in do it in my sink. You want to take the lid apart. You want to take the silicone ring out. You want to take the little basket or the valve cover off and make sure you don't lose it in your sink. And just clean all those crevices off. The lids, dishwasher safe on Instapots, the silicone ring. You just want to make sure that that silicone ring gets well cleaned and aired out. And so when you store your electric pressure cooker after it's washed, you're going to want to store it upright, put it back in its base, and put the lid inverted so it's upside down so that it can air out as well. I take the silicone ring off. I don't put it back on until I use it again. And then the other item you want to take special care of is if you have a condensation cup. Condensation cup catches any fluid that comes around the rim of the Instapot base. And some models have a condensation cup and some don't. So you'll just have to see what your brand has. Any questions?